Okay, so you were introduced to the idea of objects having a predictable motion. And this is a very powerful idea, and it's very mysterious and intriguing. The fact that this is not obvious, that objects in your surroundings have a predictable future, meaning we can predict where these objects will be for all of time, basically. After you're dead, after your mum's dead, for forever. This is a very powerful thing with simple lines of mathematics. So it gave us the idea of a predictable future, and you use this idea in your own life. You want things, and so you predict or you move towards something that you want in the future. That's where this idea comes from. So this idea has been ingrained in you for since your childhood. So it's a very powerful idea. And this idea of motion is not obvious. And it might seem obvious to you now, like, yeah, okay, that ball drops when it falls off my balcony or something. But that wasn't obvious that could be predicted, and that would even happen every time. It required genius people to come along and say, hey, look, this can be predicted through mathematics. So it's a very powerful idea, and they don't teach you like this. They just say, okay, here's the equations and this is how it's like. This was not obvious at all, people. This is not obvious at all. Another thing is that motion is relative. So it's relative to you. So if you're moving at the same speed of an object, then that object doesn't look like it's moving at all. Right now, you're sitting here, and the Earth is actually moving very, very fast, but it doesn't seem like it's moving because you're moving at the same speed as it. So motion is relative, another idea that they will not present to you in school, and a very powerful idea. I just want you to bring this idea of motion and future, predictable future, into your direct experience right now. Look around, walk around, and look at how many things are in motion and how powerful of an idea it was that we could predict the future of that motion, and how we've used that idea. If you look around everywhere, you can see this. So I just want to start presenting these ideas in a more powerful and even palatable way for you. This is very mysterious and not obvious. Motion is an extremely powerful idea, and it's extremely prevalent in your life. It's everywhere. Everything is moving, and it's very mysterious. And so you should really try and bring this into your experience and see if you can think about it in different ways other than just doing questions on an exam. Try and look at motion from different perspectives, different angles, and see how prominent it is in your own life. That's all. I just wanted to touch on that, and I will be doing this at the end of these videos, really trying to get in, just trying to spark a little intrigue into thinking about these ideas in a broader, more deeper sense. And I think it's very important. And if you do think about it, man, it's going to open up a world of understanding and knowledge for you outside of the context of your paper and your schooling. You're going to see things differently and experience the world differently. If you like this video, if it helped you, don't subscribe. Because everyone says subscribe, don't subscribe and don't like. But I hope it was useful, and I will see you in the next video. Okay, right, I'm going to be introducing you to an idea which, if understood well, will transform your entire life. And that is the idea of change. We looked with this video into the idea of things changing, a rate of change, velocity, displacement. These are changing. We're selecting variables in the world, and we're observing how they change and saying that that's predictable and can change through mathematical equations. But what I want to do right now is I want to talk about this idea of change and how powerful it is. What's happening is you are explaining away reality through logic and through things that you've been sort of that have been ingrained in your mind, that everything around you is changing all the time, right? Constantly. The world is impermanent. The universe is impermanent, which means it never stays the same. It's constantly evolving, constantly changing. You are constantly changing as well. And every day when you walk through the world, this doesn't seem, I'm assuming, to be that significant to you or peculiar, that everything around you is constantly moving and changing. And let's say, for example, you were the first human being on Earth. You came into this experience and you didn't know any of the things you know. You would be sitting in a complete mystery. You would be absolutely baffled by what's going on around you because you're not unconsciously explaining it all away. And you have these things where you're explaining it away, so it makes the world seem like understood by you. But if you start to remove that and think about what would it be like if I just turned up here, you would be absolutely gobsmacked. You would be like submerged in complete mystery. Everything would be so peculiar and beautiful and interesting. You'd be like a child again. You'd be like, I don't know what's going on. And sort of what happens with science and math and these things, they have logical, concrete explanations for what change is, because that's basically what we're describing, how things change. And it makes it seem like the universe is almost mundane and logical and works sort of like a clock. It's very mechanical, where in fact it might not be. And I want to open your mind up to that possibility that if you were the first human here, you would be baffled. You'd be like, what is going on? Your eyes would be open, and yet that's not happening for you. And the reason that's not happening for you on a day-to-day basis, you're not seeing the beauty and the mystery and the complexity of the universe, is because this has been ingrained in your mind, so it makes reality seem solid and predictable. That's the power of these ideas which have been presented to you, is that it's actually changing your experience. And really what I want to say here is, in fact, if you understand this idea that I'm not just talking about changes in the environment and the external world. I'm not just discussing that. I'm also discussing the change which occur within you. The changes that occur within you as you progress through life, you will change. And if you don't change in ways in which you sort of want, then your life and the experience of your life will go in a direction which you don't want. And I will pose to you that, in fact, people who don't change and evolve themselves through intellectual understanding, through new experiences, through all these things, then it makes their experience very mundane and boring, and they become depressed, and they become, they lack that awe, they lack that spirit, and it almost destroys their soul. And so change is very vital. And the change which you experience within yourself, which kind of separates you from the inanimate objects, is that you can consciously change yourself. Whereas it seems like the external world can't. It's predictable, whereas you have control over your change, which separates you from the change discussed in the mechanics that we just did a video on. This change. And so if you change yourself, maybe the world will change too. Let's say, for example, you become more open, you become more loving, you become more, you see more beauty in yourself. I will say to you, well, maybe if you do that, then the world, the universe will become more open, more loving, and more beautiful. If you find more mystery within yourself, then there will be change within your world which you experience, and it will become more intriguing to you. You become more creative. There's so many things that can come from change. The change within you is related to the change of the world, of your experience of the world. And this is a very important dynamic in which, if you understand this, it will change your life. And so I would highly recommend for you to contemplate what is change externally and what is change internally. And how can I change to produce a life which is more fruitful for me? And I just wanted to say that and give you a bit of inspiration. So the ideas that we're finding and we're trying to describe within physics or mechanics here, and we're presented with this idea of change, this idea of change is actually integral and important to your own life. And it plays a huge role. It's not just some crazy external idea. It's highly integrated into your own existence. And so that's it. And yeah, just a different take on it, just to try and inspire you a bit. But that's all. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you later. Live in accordance with nature is a quote by Marcus Aurelius, an ancient Stoic, and he led the Roman Empire. Pretty whacked out dude. I mean, his personal diary is like a bestseller 2,000 years later, which, I mean, think about that. If you wrote some personal notes and then 2,000 years from now, people are reading it like, wow, this is amazing. Anyway, live in accordance with nature. This is a kind of what I'm trying to get across here. It's a concept that the things that we observe in nature, we should live accordingly to. And so with this video, we were introduced to the idea of balance and equilibrium and things being balanced, basically. And I want you to try and conceive of maybe something inconceivable, but the balance of the universe. I mean, the universe has a almost divine balance. I mean, let's think about it for a second. We're on Earth, it's rotating, we've got the moon going around, we've got a bunch of other planets all orbiting the sun. It's all working in harmony, it's not like floating off into space. And then that solar system is one of probably billion solar systems in our galaxy, and that galaxy is one of 100 billion, hundreds of billions of galaxies in the observable universe. And all of this is working in harmony, in balance, to keep this system working. And then let's think about just the Earth, nature itself. I mean, you have hundreds of millions probably of species of different things on this planet, all living here with the plants, and even just to for you to breathe and be alive right now, there has to be some ingenious balance in your body. Like all the all the biology and biochemical reactions and fighting off bacteria, and you'll breathe, your heart's pumping, your blood, everything. There's so many different variables and things going on. It's inconceivable, yet it's all balanced, and you can sit here and breathe and be alive. I mean, it's remarkable. It's almost as if it's a miracle. And so that's a divine balance. And so live in accordance with nature. We want to sort of be trying to find balance and equilibrium in our lives and sort of live from that place. Because if we do that, we're going to, I think, live a very prosperous life. If you look at some of the wisest, the most intelligent people, well, for me anyway, these are the kind of mystics, the visionaries. Well, these people they seem to sort of project a real balance within themselves. And and that's hard to do as you experience more. Your mind becomes more complex. The more ideas you're introduced, the more you open up. You read different things, you learn different things. You're going to be your mind is going to become more complex, and that's why kind of insanity and genius usually come hand in hand, because the more complex you become as a human being, the more you know, the more you understand all this stuff. It kind of drives you into a chaotic state a lot of times. And so the people that can do that and then also find grounding and balance, like we see the universe does, they are sometimes the most influential people and very wise people, and people that you really want to get advice from and stuff like that, and you want to learn from, and people that you kind of want around and running things and influencing things. They really are amazing people, and we should strive to have that kind of balance in our own life and sort of emulate the balance that we see, this divine balance in the universe. I mean, really start to think about it. It's incredible. And so, yeah, it's a little take on equilibrium and balance, a new perspective on it, and how you can sort of integrate it into your own life and think about how you can become more of a balanced individual. I really want to say that, looking at these ideas like I'm doing here is very important. And I just want to make it clear that these ideas are the foundation. They are the base for modern society. The ideas that we have in physics, mathematics, these kind of things, logic, all of this, they are the foundation and are the building blocks of our current society and current modern society. And when you independently think about them on your own, don't just accept what you're being told, you think about them, you're going to start to see that I don't really know what these things are. What is a force? What is it? Where is it coming from? How can everything work together? If you start to think about it independently, you're going to go to places in which you're going to become very knowledgeable about it from within yourself, rather than just doing questions. You're going to understand it, even possibly I would say definitely to a level higher than the people even teaching it to you. I mean, ask your teacher, what is a force? And if they won't know. I mean, because we don't know. I mean, I want to be open here. I want to be, sort of vulnerable, and I want to be honest and authentic with you guys. And if I'm being honest, we don't understand what these things are. We understand how they work, but we don't understand what they are. And so people like you, intelligent people, we need you to start thinking about it. And it will help you in all aspects of your life to think about these ideas, because they govern the way you think and the society around you, the modern society. You'll understand yourself better, and you'll understand the world that you inhabit better. And so it's a win-win, baby. And you're going to be successful, and things are going to start working for you. Because if you don't understand things, like truly understand them, how are you going to move through the world? If you don't understand what's going on around you and why it's here and the ideas that govern it, how are you going to move through the world successfully? How are you going to create an influence in positive ways? And so that's really one of the things that I wanted to get across here. Maybe I rambled a little bit too much. Live in accordance with nature. Look at nature and live in accordance with it. We find divine balance in nature. How can we emulate that in our own lives? Because if we live in accordance with nature, nature is intelligent. We live in accordance with it, we're going to be living the best kind of lives, and that's what we want for all of us and for you. And so, yeah, please like and subscribe to this. I want to say thank you to all the people on Patreon who have bought my courses. I mean, it's doing great on there, getting great feedback. And so I want to say thank you to all of you for that support. And yeah, I'll see you when I see you. I got the power. Energy. Everything that you see, everything that you observe as energy. There's an essence, a driving force behind everything. We disagree sometimes. I mean, honestly, all the time we've disagreed on what this energy is. And it makes sense because it's so encompassing. It's such a huge idea. We're questioning, what is life? What is this force that's producing all of this? And so, some people call it God, other people call it consciousness, scientists call it energy, whatever. Like, I believe that we're all trying to get at truth. Yeah, we're talking about the same thing, and it makes sense. There's larger disagreements on this thing, but it's true. Like, we're trying to get at truth, energy, essence. There's a life behind things. Even the most mundane of object has massive amounts of energy. It's a completely just baffling thing. And this force, it gives rise to all of this, everything that you can possibly experience. And it's magical, it's remarkable, it's beautiful. And if it's not beautiful to you, you just need to elevate your perspective. Really just get into a higher perspective of life, and really start to see what is this shit, and how beautiful it is, and how remarkable it is, and how mysterious it is. And if you can't see it like that, just elevate your perspective, and I guarantee it will become just so incredible to you.
That's one of the things that science and math and religion and philosophy and everything, psychology, all of it, we're just trying to figure this out, trying to understand it for its own sake. Understanding something for its own sake, because it's just so mysterious. It's so incredible. Keep using the same words, but I ain't got any other words for them, man. And so energy, you know, it's the driving force behind life in the scientific perspective. And so it's something we want to look at, we want to understand, because it produces everything that we can see in the physical universe. I mean, so what a topic to be learning. What a topic to be introduced to. It's not just a set of equations. This has produced your entire existence. And I feel grateful to even have the opportunity to be alive and to experience it and to even learn a tiny slither of it. If you found this video useful, helpful, not helpful, useless, don't like, subscribe, don't subscribe. Doesn't really matter, right? Peace and love, baby. This idea of conservation has propped up a few times for you in your exploration of mechanics, and I want to take a moment to discuss this idea from a more spiritual, I don't really like that word, but from a different sort of metaphysical angle, and how it can play into your own life. So what we see is that things like energy, momentum, properties are conserved, which means that, so before an interaction occurs, like we saw with those, let's say, two balls when they hit each other, and then they coalesce or they join and they merge together into a larger mass, there's a conservation happening there, but there's not, nothing is being lost. There's just a change happening in its form. So you might, let's say, lose kinetic energy, but that's going into something else. So with everything, there's a conservation of energy. And so we're changing a form, like a physical form. So the ball will be larger when they come together, but there's a conservation between this, before the interaction occurs and after it. And so let's take you, for example. You have a lot of activity or energy happening within you. And so I'd like I've talked about before, you will change, and how you change, the activity and energy, which is so much, you have so much energy and things going on within you, this will be conserved. So when you change, there'll be a change, and so you'll change form. So that could be psychological form, this could be emotional form, this could be physical form, but you're changing form and conserving that energy. And you can consciously and deliberately sort of mold yourself in that way. And we see this happens on an individual and also a collective level. There's a conservation of energy going on. We are creating things. Let's do an example. Let's say, for example, the pyramids, something like that. So you have a group of people creating the pyramids, the Egyptians or whatever. And so the collective energy is being transformed into a physical pyramid. And so there's a conservation of energy from the collective to a physical form, the pyramid. And I would say that that's a pretty good way to conserve that energy. You know, we've collectively produced a monumental thing. It's a I don't know the ins and outs of the pyramids, but it's a pretty beautiful thing. And so collectively as humanity, and this is going really deep, what we want to be doing is we want to be conserving our energy, which we have, and transforming it in physical or mental or emotional or different ways to produce cultures, societies, and things in the world which are of higher form, like something like the pyramid, because we can transform the form of the world into lower level things which aren't beneficial for humanity and for each of us individually. And so this idea of conservation and conservation of energy is something which, when we think about, can be used, like, because it's such a universal phenomenon. The universe is conserving everything. It's conserving all of this energy. There's no energy being lost, it's simply transforming. So using that idea, we can start to individually implement ways in which we can transform things in positive ways, which makes it more beneficial for people, more beautiful for surroundings, more all this good stuff. And if it's done in ways in which we're transforming in sort of what I would consider negative ways, then that reflects in the society and culture that we have. If we create forms and use this idea of conservation in negative ways, we're not deliberately thinking about it and trying to go to a higher ideal of creativity, then we get sort of like failed and sort of degrading societies that are degenerate, or they degenerate, they deteriorate, and they die. So it's actually very important that we transform this energy, which is conserved, in positive and creative ways, individually and collectively. Maybe that's pretty deep, but why not? Just talk about it. Something that I thought about while I was shooting this video. So I thought I'd take a minute to just outwardly flow some ideas that when I think about conservation for myself. Maybe it was useful, maybe it wasn't. It's just interesting. I find this stuff interesting and I like to talk about it. Anyway, hope this video was useful. If it was, you know what to do. Subscribe, like, and I'll see you when I see you. Well, now we have come to the end of the series. I've been doing these ending sort of monologues and discussions and open flow of thoughts to inspire and intrigue you. But I have had really some main points which I've been trying to get across here, and I'm going to outline those two. There's two of them here. So as we've come to the end, so I'll just do an overview of the points, the 2 points, main points I was trying to get across, other than just, chatting and flowing and talking. So the two main points were this. Number one, nature is intelligent. It's not a mundane and stupid thing. It's intelligent, and we should live in accordance with it. You can learn from it, and if you feel lost, confused, well, confront nature. I'm talking about physical nature. You can learn things from the physical world. Observe the physical world, and it will teach you lessons. And in fact, I will say that you can learn a hell of a lot more from the physical world than you can the digital one. It's an intelligent thing, and it has things to teach you, and it wants to help you. And so yeah, that's number one. Number two is asking questions. When you ask powerful questions about knowledge or content that you find, then you will learn deeper, and you will learn better, and you will expand your knowledge and understanding. This goes for education and also for life. Trying to show you the power of asking high quality questions. If something is presented to you which seems obvious or seems just this is it, this is how it is, it's not obvious, and it took genius people to discover it. It's only obvious now after the fact that we found it. And so you should ask and question these obvious things. Especially in subjects like science and math. Question the things that seem obvious, and that will have a great benefit for you in your life, your education. So those are the two main points, and they're very powerful ideas. If you use them and implement them, they will transform your entire life, and I really do believe that. So that's it. I want to say that I've actually thoroughly enjoyed making this series. Sometimes I can't always say that, but I have thoroughly enjoyed making this series, and I hope you found it useful and maybe thoroughly enjoyed watching it. Yeah, that's it, and peace and love.